And welcome back to the Quake Pro League as we're heading to our third series of the day between GaRpY and Spart1e, still with ZSX. And Dan, what are you thinking about this matchup just overall in terms of what to actually expect?
Not too sure. I think Spart1e's been on a bit of a run recently. He's looking really good. We know how powerful he can be when his aim's on form, and he's found a level of consistency we haven't seen for many years, in all honesty. And now he's coupling that with more strategy and refining his game, and that's a really scary place to be for opponents, because he's just so damn hard to beat when he hits as much as he does. On the flip side, we know GaRpY's not lived up to some of the highs he can bring, and he's pretty much down and buried in terms of the leaderboard, but still has to pick his game up in terms of momentum going into the stage finals and relegation. So he's got more to prove. I think he's not brought his A game pretty much at all throughout this series, and is definitely feeling that as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this game goes. I think Spart1e's probably got a little bit of an edge, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We know GaRpY hasn't been playing to his full potential as of yet. It's been a while since he was in the Quake Pro League, but he has had a lot of time to try and make something happen. But certainly this case, he may have to at least try and defend his Pro League spot again. But let's have a look at the maps and pick some bans to see exactly what these two juggernauts will be playing on in this next series. And it looks like Exile and Corrupted Keep has been banned, and not too much of a surprise there. I think Spart1e, one of his better maps actually during the course of this stage has actually been Exile. I think he's only lost on it once, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And Corrupted Keep has been banned for Spart1e, but it looks like it can be Deep Embrace, Ruins, and Veiled, Scalebearer, and the Sorlag. Interesting.
All I can say is this series is going to be fun. I think watching Spart1e is always fun, and when you've got this type of maps and picks and bans, it's going to be really, really fun. So, I mean, let's go just through it really quickly. Deep Embrace, nothing too expected. Spart1e actually favouring the strong, allowing the kill to get through. So that's a clear playstyle choice from Spart1e. Obviously realises and favours the speed of Strog and over just the more static turret nature that Keel can play at. So GaRpY gets what would probably be his favoured pick there, but also Spart1e choosing that to happen. Ruins, we got Ranger against Visor, and GaRpY's actually been playing some decent Ruins games recently, so it's not his pick, but he will be quite happy with that matchup. And the Visor will offer Spart1e a good utility to maximise his railgun. So again, not favoured to go on something like an Anarchy there. Instead, we got a real good, just methodical game of the medium versus medium. And then we got the punchers, the brawlers on Veil. Probably my favourite champion of all time, Scalebearer, against Sorlag. I think Sorlag is that's a playstyle thing. I think they both bring a lot to the game. I think at the moment, in terms of purely meta, Scalebearer edges it out, but again, it really comes down to how you play them. And Spart1e is obviously just more comfortable on the way Sorlag plays.
I kind of feel like with GaRpY, he's still a very well-rounded player. Very calculated, knows his stuff, knows exactly what he's doing. But there's only some little moments here and there he does overextend, and you see it quite a lot as well from him, especially him as a player compared to most of the others. The fact that he relies on his rockets so much for info to try and predict where they could be going, but he relies on it a lot more in comparison to what other players do to feed himself info and decide on where and how he should be going and what paths he should actually take. And normally it works out quite well for him. This stage, it hasn't been working out as much. And against a player like Spart1e, where you'd feel like every time you see him play, he plays like some kind of aim style. You think it's someone from one of the Latam players from the Americas, like Maxter or Nosfer, with the way he aims so well. You think it's like momentum based, but it's actually not. That's actually physically how he likes to progress when he tries to force out these engagements. It doesn't matter if it's close or long range, but he seems to hit the shots when it matters so much, and he's so cost effective with the damage dealt that he does, because he seems to capitalize 9 times out of 10 on those occasions, compared to maybe like at least 6 months ago where he wouldn't capitalize on so many different situations. But we'll have to see what GaRpY can do here to see if he can take down Spart1e by any means necessary, or Spart1e will be thinking otherwise. But we'll be starting with GaRpY's POV in the third series of the day of map number 1.
Yeah, Spart1e's found a much better balance in terms of utilising aim to his advantage and overextending, whereas in the past he would then go in and miss shots and end up making it pay. His positional play has definitely got a lot better, and his strategy got a lot better, whereas GaRpY, he's in his head a lot of the time when he plays, and that often means he's kind of a bit of a choke artist at points, but he's definitely got all the capability in the world to take this series away from Spart1e.
saying about just trying to keep him at bay. He was hoping to go round past that peak, but it's literally in his face. There's no way he could have done anything there. So we've got plenty of pineapples to lay down on Spart1e. It's taking a huge chunk of damage there, but GaRpY is on the hunt. Good rails there from GaRpY. It looks like Spart1e will be flanking round to try and back away if he can, but he might have him trapped here. But it looks like that rocket is going to do itself justice. And the first frag after just a minute of play. So good start from GaRpY.
Yeah, perfect start from GaRpY, and hitting the rails as well. That will settle him, and definitely needs to get off to a good start. And this is exactly what he needs as well. So his map pick definitely got his favoured pick in terms of champions. So should be feeling good.
GaRpY now just playing the sound game, just listening out for those audio cues to see exactly the whereabouts of where Spart1e is and what he's up to. I think he does know he's top mid, but obviously he's dropped down since then. He's going to be flanking around to that shotgun from Mega. He has backed away, takes out the Pika, but knows his whereabouts. Good damage on that last rocket, as he's going to see if he can get a little bit extra from the pineapple, which he won't. But it doesn't matter. The damage has already been done. GaRpY's got a huge stack, all the pineapples in the world. And now he just needs to see exactly where Spart1e's going to go in order to contest that heavy. But GaRpY's going to go for the Mega first. He should have more than enough time to go for that heavy if he can. But he needs to go there now and needs to get there quick, which he is going to try. But it looks like he's going to be going the other route around rockets instead. As the heavy is still up, but rocket jumps up. Might be a slight misplay, but instead the stacks are still very similar. But GaRpY sadly didn't get the heavy, but at least he tried to contest for it. Good LG damage, good tracking there from GaRpY as he cleans him up and extends his lead 2-0.
Yeah, we didn't get much of a chance to talk about it in the intro, but this is the way I wanted to see him playing. I didn't want him to get dragged into an aim brawl with Spart1e. That's kind of often what happens when you go against the likes of his play. That's frustrating after such a good engagement, but playing that nice positional play, trapping Spart1e around the map is definitely the way he needs to be doing this. And whilst he does lose out on a frag there, he spawns right by the heavy and is in a great position. Just needs the weaponry now.
Yeah, he certainly does indeed. As Spart1e taking so much damage, he's managed to pick up the light just to save his backside for a small amount of time, but he is railable, so he needs to be careful what path he wants to take. Managed to pick up the 2 health bubbles and the light, but it doesn't matter because GaRpY's already on his tail, getting that last rail shot before he got away. Spart1e's just playing it very cautiously, you know, very passive, just to see where GaRpY's going first before he makes anything happen. And are we surprised? No, not at all. Look at the stack difference in comparison. But both these players are literally right next to each other. Both of them had a feeling they were next to each other as well. But Spart1e is railable if he goes through. But good rocket from GaRpY as Spart1e is only on 9 HP. And GaRpY's picked up the Mega as well, and he's still just on a slimmer of health. Needs to find anything just to try and re-heal, but you know, he's running out of options here. He managed to back away. Don't know how. Very, very lucky considering the scenario he's in, but will he be able to clean him up here with the LG? Some good rockets, but it's just not going to be enough. After all that, the pineapple clean him up. GaRpY's got a huge stack and will be nowhere near traded, as he should be able to try and clean him up here. Good pineapple to rail there to finish off Spart1e.
And this is when Keel is so incredibly hard to budge. Just goes full turret mode, stands in the middle of the map, just surveying the scene, rotating the items, and that's what GaRpY's done very well. He's not made a slip up on the items just yet. You can see how difficult it is. Spart1e is almost useless on a stroke on the low ground, and you just can't get up onto the high ground. GaRpY's positioning has been on point, and he's punishing Spart1e for any adventure up onto that landscape. Once again, trying to make something happen here. Woo, nearly falls down, but not quite, and GaRpY extended the lead. 5 minutes gone already. Only 5 frags. GaRpY's not too sad with that. Obviously, the lead is great, and he's not going to overextend.
Not gonna lie, Dan, I was clenching then when thinking that it was possibly gonna fall down that gap. We've seen it on so many, numerous occasions. So the map's been released in the pool, the Quake Pro League. GaRpY still got a very healthy stack just to stand his ground top mid, which is the good thing here. You know, he's not on the offensive. You know, he's just being chill, playing patient, just waiting to for the advantage to come to him, waiting for Spart1e to make the first mistake. This could be a good opportunity now to try and contest the heavy, but even if he doesn't, he's still done a huge chunk of damage to Spart1e anyway. Spart1e's actually going to drop down after him here, but good Pineapple is going to clean up the LG, doesn't finish him off, but just may get a trade here depending on where Spart1e is going to go. They're right near each other, but it's probably too little too late here. He's already picked up the light, but even if GaRpY does take him down here, he's still going to take a huge amount of damage in the process.
Oh no!
Oh, lovely. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, GaRpY did a great job of stalling enough to get the Mega there, but just got railed down off the big booty and somehow slips through the nail. Oh, it comes out, knocks him. He's actually really stuck, but some other flick rail comes up from Spart1e, gets another frag. Already a 6-1 is a 6-4 within a matter of seconds. GaRpY needs to quell the tide of aggression coming out from Spart1e.
Yeah, the pace Spart1e's going to play it now is going to be a lot more aggressive in comparison to first half of this map. Considering he's only 2 frags behind. GaRpY's directly above him. Good first rocket, but then again Spart1e with the direct and the rail afterwards. Going to see if he can clean him up with the Pika, but GaRpY knew his game. Raining down the rockets into that corner. GaRpY's hoping to get a cheeky rail there to inflict a little bit of damage to back Spart1e off. But Spart1e has a great stack to work with here. GaRpY's not really too far behind in all fairness. He's hoping to get some chip damage in order to make things a little bit better for him in this next engagement. So that was a good first Pineapple. Still has 2 minutes 40 left to play with in terms of what Spart1e wants to do. Yeah, still plenty of time, especially on a map like Deep Embrace.
Definitely. We've seen the scoreline converge very quickly, but the items were pretty much on the same point as well, so they are going to trade here. But GaRpY actually moves away just a second too early. He hits a rail, but it is before the pickup, meaning Spart1e gets good utility of it. He hasn't picked up the heavy either. I'm not sure GaRpY's too aware, but he will make his way around and hear the pickup now, and at the very least do a little bit of damage. But great LG, but also an amazing rocket. But this is the challenge. Those pineapples cause so much complication for Spart1e, and he hasn't got a rail either. So it's very difficult for him to even get a frag.
Yeah, GaRpY's predictive rockets, they're not as good as Dramas's earlier. Dramas's was just an absolute joke, the amount he was hitting. But the Pineapples have been very good. He's been cautious about when he should be firing them, for effect, just keep his opponent's distance so he can get some of these items. Even at the Mega, he's been doing a good job of them. And he's going to let Spart1e get the heavy for now, which is understandable. Still got a minute and 30, minute 40, try and waste if he can. And GaRpY's in a great spot. He's got top mid control, he's got a height advantage. Good rails there, good shots from GaRpY. As long as he continues to play like this, he should be perfectly fine. And yes, he does. Extends his lead with a minute 25 left.
Yeah, amazing job by GaRpY. Nice and steady. And here comes the tempo from Spart1e. The aggression, but bounce, and rail to finish as well. Spart1e doesn't have a rocket, so can't get across quickly, but picking this up will seal the deal. Spart1e trying his luck, but to no avail. Really amazing map. GaRpY coming out here, and you can tell how well he played just by the respect Spart1e was giving him. This is the first time we've really seen him try to pull that tempo up, but it's all been run at GaRpY's pace. He's just played this mid-ground so well, and that's why Keel is S tier on this map. Spart1e, though, might be ruining why he didn't pick it himself. It was his choice to pick the Strog first, and GaRpY just nullified all the advantages the Strog brings.
Yeah, there's so much you can say about this matchup. The fact that GaRpY, his positional advantage, and there's quite a few occasions where even though it wasn't even in the best of spots when he was holding top mid, it would still stand his ground. He wouldn't pretend to go elsewhere and flank. He would just stand his ground, knowing that if he has such a large advantage on his opponent in terms of position, what's the point of moving? Just to stay there, hold the angles, get the first shot off if you have to get away or not. And I think it frustrated Spart1e a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a few times where Spart1e was pretty low and on the run, and it could have been an opportunity for GaRpY to try and go super aggressive and close the gap and get the frag, but he held his discipline. And that's, again, a crucial component to why he won. He didn't make those slip-ups. He didn't get baited into engagements. He played his game and let Spart1e come to him. And it was very, very close for large periods of the game. It crept up to 6-1. Spart1e brought it back to 6-4, but GaRpY managed to stabilize, play his game, play the items, and managed to seal a very convincing victory overall. And again, this isn't a performance of someone you'd expect to be bottom of the leaderboard. It just shows the caliber he has, and he needs to continue that now in maps 2 and 3.
It's just the EU region in a nutshell, really, isn't it? You know, there's so many good players. Like, you know, it's very, very difficult to even comprehend, really, like, you know, who could be in those bottom 2 spots, because you wouldn't expect it, really, would you? You know, even in challenges, you know, you've got players like, you know, Hell, Buxter, Stone, etc. There is so many in the EU region who could easily play at the Pro League level. It's just unheard of. And, you know, going back to that last map, GaRpY did just play really well. You know, some of the key points we spoke about in terms of his play, his play style and what he wants to do, and you know what he should be doing is, you know, just playing it cautiously. You know, like, don't overextend. His rocket control in terms of like keeping his opponents back, he literally abuses that, and he has done that with the rail and the rockets throughout the entire game. And he just did really well. Didn't get desperate. Didn't see signs of him getting overzealous for any frags. You know, some of the deaths he did give away, it was just perfectly understandable. It's just Spart1e just playing out of his mind. And I think there was another point you mentioned as well, Dan. It's the fact that, you know, try and keep away from that close range combat of Spart1e, because, you know, not saying it's, you know, a lot better, but it's where, you know, it's one of Spart1e, you know, where he excels at. You don't want to play to your opponent's strengths, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, again, being on kill, you want to take engagements. You've got the bigger stack, but also you're more vulnerable. And you don't want to fall into any of Spart1e's traps. Just look at that damage differential. 1300 damage extra as a kill just shows how well GaRpY was playing the map strategically. And so that was another really critical way in which he played the map. Did not overextend. He made sure he was creating openings that were efficient and reliable and high percentage chances of conversions, rather than trying to force the issue and play at Spart1e's tempo. So really well played. Can he continue it? We'll have to see. In the past, this is where we see GaRpY now maybe get into his own mind a bit. He got off to a very good start, which put him on the path to victory. He needs to now make sure he does that time and time again.
I'm not going to lie, I was waiting for you to say something like that. Literally, I was going to say that, you know, with GaRpY, you know, sometimes, you know, his biggest, you know, in terms of his opponents, it's himself, really, isn't it? You know, you can... You know, it's hard to reset your mentality in certain situations. You know, you let things get away, especially like, you know, midway through the map, not even like, you know, after the map's even done and dusted. But the next map will be on Ruins. It will be GaRpY's the Ranger versus Spart1e with the Piercing Sight. So, of course, we know that Spart1e is going to be playing the game where using that Piercing Sight for positional advantage for the items, can be using it to hold us off angles when he sees fit. And it's just, you know, with the Piercing Sight, it's not about info, it's just about preparation for, you know, a lot of the items, and maybe trying to, you know, tackle down on where your opponent could be. Because Ruins, you know, is one of the larger maps in the pool, and when there's only like a couple of minutes remaining, you know, that's at least 2, maybe 3 Piercing Sights you can use to, you know, try and topple your opponent. But it's the orb from GaRpY, and we need to see in how he actually use it to its full effect, whether to, you know, fake it out in mid-engagement, or even to try and get away, or maybe to, you know, quickly get a mega, or maybe to do it for just pure damage. We'll have to see. But yeah, from where GaRpY's playing so far, very, very well. But, you know, this is a different kettle of fish in terms of map size. We'll have to see if you can continue that consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And GaRpY is somebody who has a very good ranger. So interesting to see how he uses the orb. He plays it on Ruins quite a lot. But as you say, the Piercing Sight is a big factor on this map. It just, in terms of damage efficiency, it's huge. I mean, popping it when the Mega's coming out, for instance, entering the room, knowing exactly where your opponent is, being able to hit the first shot is such a big advantage at this level. It's always about opening damage and efficient damage throughout. So if you can use that well, then it gives you a lot of leverage in the map. But as you say, Ruins is a very different game. I do like the tempo that GaRpY set. He now has a champion that can play faster, which gives him more versatility and adaptability to increase the tempo if he needs to. But I would like to see him actually play, again, a bit more safer. I think if you can goad Spart1e into your game, that's where he begins to struggle. If you get into a fist fight with Spart1e and you want to play fast, then that's where he actually begins to come to life. I love this play from GaRpY. They're aggressive off the spawn as well. No major items been picked up, using the orb to have the additional burst damage. Spart1e might be able to get onto the heavy. He's got the rail. Shotgun. Starting shotgun is so weak. And you see the plan, but the execution, not quite.
Yeah, not quite indeed. You know what the shotgun's like. Just does tickles of damage, 4 or 8 damage from that range. It's not something you really want, which is a little bit of a shame, especially on a map like this. So Spart1e, good start from him. He's going to see if he can clean him up with the LG. Good tracking from both of these players. He's very risky. See if he can clean him up with the rail instead. He's missed his first opportunity, but the second one managed to clean him nicely. Good start from Spart1e again, extending his lead. And if you're just joining us, welcome. This is the 3rd series of the day, and into the second map between these two players. GaRpY now got a huge stack to work with. This is his time to make something happen. Good first rail, could clean him up with the shotgun here, but decides to go for the orb anyway, just in case, which is okay, understandable to a certain extent, but I think it's a little bit of a waste.
Yeah, he's not fucking about. He is he's getting that frag, clearing it up. He didn't want to take any damage. He knows how important preserving his stack is to make a move here, and he's got both items on a cycle, which is a perfect Spart1e actually going to push in here, and that's foolhardy as he gives away a free frag. Does hit a big rocket before dying. He gets the railgun spawn as well, but unfortunately no damage just yet.
Just manages to get away there, but how long for? He's only on 33 HP. Spart1e's actually dropped down. GaRpY could get away depending on how quick he gets through the telly. Does hit with the rail. Good orb, but didn't do enough damage there. We saw the intent, but I don't think the orb did enough damage for him to actually take him out. Good LG from Spart1e to keep him away. But GaRpY is the one who has to back away in this engagement. He needs to try and re-heal. Managed to get the light in the courtyard. You saw Spart1e heard that.
Oh,
good
nice.
2 rails there from Spart1e. He excels on this map. We've seen how well he does, but the tracking from both his weapons. Oh, he actually thought he cleaned him up with the LG, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Damage has been done. Good first rail. He's not going to go for the second. He's going to prioritise the mega.
But this is exactly what I said I didn't want to see from GaRpY. He's getting into a brawl with Spart1e. He's trying to play aggro now, and it's just not working. You see, this is where Spart1e becomes alive. He loves chaos. He was born in it, and already it's 7-3. We're only 2.5 minutes in. This is as many frags as we saw in the first 6 minutes on Deep, a map you'd expect that kind of frag line.
I think for most players, they can say it's very annoying to play someone who's so hyper aggressive and needs to try and control that aggression. You could do it in a number of ways, like of course keep your distance, use that chip damage with the rails of the predicted rockets to keep them at bay. Some players actually prefer their opponent to be super aggressive, so that way they can counteract what they're going to do, but most of the time it can be very annoying. It all depends on your play style, and GaRpY, you can see he's just trying to keep away from him with the tri-bolt, but just not doing enough, just trying to keep him away, but just can't do anything. But good tri-bolt there from GaRpY. What is going on here, Dan?
Wait, I don't know. Just got 250 damage frag with tri-bolt. What just happened?
Oh, you couldn't make up really, could you? It's just a bizarre game. 8-4 on a map like Ruins. It's just, you couldn't make this stuff up really, could you? It's just ridiculous. Good first rail. Orbit's going to miss sadly, but it's, maybe think of it, Spart1e could be assuming he faked it out. No, he won't. Good rail from Spart1e, picks up the lights, managed to clean things up. 9-4 in his favour. 4 minutes have passed, and he realises that, yeah, he's going to have to give up the heavy, go straight for the mega. But young GaRpY is definitely on the hunt here.
Wouldn't call him young.
No, maybe not. He's actually older than me.
He's the oldest in the QPO, actually. Old man Gareth can't keep up with the young reflexes of Spart1e, who's not the youngest himself. Still got piercing sight. He's actually holding on to it for quite a long time, just to suss out before the heavy spawn. Again, that's why it's so valuable, that opening rail, pixel rail. Gareth will realise that the piercing sight was used, so now moves down freely. But he's actually caught up here, up the jump pad. The orb comes out, but he's actually not even going to get the frag, and this scoreline already is a easily winnable one, even though there's just over 5 minutes to go.
There's still plenty of time for GaRpY to come back into this matchup. 5 minutes left, but then again on a map like Ruins, it's very difficult. Spart1e with that piercing sight in his back pocket whenever he sees fit to use it. Keeping tabs on his hourglasses as well. The old man Gareth, aka GaRpY, he's looking to see if he can try and come back in this matchup. Still got plenty of time, but he's trying to find out the whereabouts on where he could be. But he's got plenty of info now, but he has to back away here. He knows that maybe if he could go on for a flank, he could be okay, but Spart1e's the one who tries to flank first. But good rails there from both of these players. GaRpY going 2 for 2 there, but still nothing they can do. Spart1e is railable now, and GaRpY did actually throw that fake orb out, but didn't get anything done here. But still though, 10-4 in favour of Spart1e here. Good rocket to rail, and doesn't clean him up here, as he still tries to get a bit of flair with his rails going.
Spart1e's hitting 60%. Looking very fly. and it's difficult seeing in for GaRpY at the moment. Spart1e's giving up all the items, but he's also doing an immense amount of damage on any sort of exit from these major items. This is the first time GaRpY hasn't really taken any damage. As I say that, Spart1e turns around a corner, another close range rail to the face, misses the second. We'll be swapping out here. GaRpY, nice retaliation. Spart1e's railable, he's got the piercing sight as well. If he needs it, he pops it, trying to bide some time. It's all about delaying as well at this point. Knows he's not going to get out of here alive unless he comes out with some crazy shots, which he's more than capable of doing. And there we go, there's one, but the easiest rail of the match he misses. GaRpY walks away with a frag, but Spart1e has delayed enough to pick up the heavy armor.
Yeah, well played from GaRpY there. He had huge amount of patience just waiting for Spart1e to make that first move, but then again Spart1e did waste a nice chunk of time. But these rails from Spart1e just absolutely ridiculous, hoping to try and make something work here, but it's just not going to happen, especially with that starting shotgun and the stack that Spart1e had.
Lovely rocket, but he has no follow-up.
Cheeky smiley there. Still gonna dodge a few more of these rockets, but he's taking a lot of damage from that last rail. But Spart1e, you know, returns with a rail of his own. I don't think GaRpY even expected Spart1e to retaliate. You know, expecting just to run away, try and re-heal. It's, you know, pretty standard, but sometimes you've got to do those little unpredictable plays just to try and even things out a little bit. Still very, very risky.
Yeah,
6 frags.
Yeah, you've seen Spart1e actually take a massive step back in terms of the tempo of the game ever since he got a comfortable lead, and GaRpY managed to get a little bit more in tune with the rail game. But look at that, just 3 rails back to back. What are you meant to do? Can't even catch Spart1e. I mean, this game is done and dusted unless something crazy happens. But Spart1e's more than happy to take these long-range engagements, and again, GaRpY hasn't really made a step to try and change that. So again, strategy not there. The opening really cost him. He never got back into the game early on after that aggressive push with the starting shotgun.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame. Like you said, 7 frags deficit. Definitely not going to happen, especially with 90 seconds left, unless GaRpY just does some miracle work, which again, Spart1e is not going to leave him with that kind of opportunity. Some good rails, but not enough. And each time these two, you know, have an engagement, one with each other is just going to trade each other off anyway, so it's not going to make too much difference. And like I said, yeah, GaRpY didn't really have a very good start, especially with that shotgun, but good rails from GaRpY. And I think, you know, you saw there that GaRpY was playing to Spart1e's strengths again. Spart1e, he just don't care, does he?
No. And this is why you don't try and play Spart1e his own game. Not even the Killsons of the world would I recommend to that, because the way Spart1e uses the rail is just, it's so reactive, so flick intensive that it's not even in positions you normally would expect someone to rail. Like the way like Cypher rails, for instance, is very positional, but the way Spart1e rails, he's just straight around the map flicking it at you. It's just not really.
It's one of those things where it's just in terms of weapon selection, isn't it? Like, it's annoying because you may say to someone, you shouldn't use a rail in this position, you shouldn't do this in that position. But when they get away with it and it actually works, they're probably thinking, see, it does work. But still, it shouldn't. Like, you still shouldn't do it, but he still gets away with it. I think it's another element as well. It depends how comfortable you are with your aim in terms of like your aim skill that day. If you're feeling heated up and ready to go and you feel like you can aim with any weapon, then, you know, it's kind of debatable, really. But you saw there, but Spart1e took the second map in this series, so it is tied 1-1 between both these players. Spart1e did manage to take that 14-9.
Spart1e hit as many rails as GaRpY fired, nearly. 3,200 damage with the rail alone.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Over 1,000 damage dealt for Spart1e in comparison. Was that 1,071? It's quite a lot in comparison, especially on a map like Ruins. But what do you feel like GaRpY could have done there? Apart from the start, we saw there he had a pretty bad start. You know, maybe if he had the MG to start with, could have been a little bit different in terms of damage and then trade off afterwards. But do you think that he got in his head a little bit in terms of those first couple of frags, or do you think it might be something else, just playing in Spart1e's game, really?
I think a mixture of both. He definitely got into his own head. I mean, it was 6-2, 2 minutes in. That just shows that something has gone wrong in your strategy to be that far down. Yes, Spart1e was playing well and hitting a lot, but you still have to be messing up your own game to be leaving yourself that vulnerable to give away 6 frags in 2.5 minutes. So, particularly on a map like Ruins. So after that, I definitely think GaRpY got a little bit frustrated, and that's why we didn't see that shift in strategy. He was also so far down, he then could not revert to potentially the slower paced game I would have favoured from him. But at the end of the day, he was chasing his tail, and Spart1e was playing really damn well in terms of his aim. 46% LG, 60% rail. It's really damn hard to counter that. And he even then began to become incredibly defensive himself, to the point where he had half the items of GaRpY. He was just massively outdamaging him.
Yeah, it was just a real shame because, okay, fair enough, he shot a lot more round comparison, but he still had 47%, and you saw with the item control that GaRpY did have most of them in comparison to Spart1e, but just couldn't really do anything with it. Every time he picked up one of the items, it didn't matter because Spart1e was always there, not only to contest it, but always would rail him or some good rocket placements, just to put GaRpY, not to put him at ease at all in the slightest. But this is going to be, again, another kettle of fish. This is going to be on Veils, so no large maps. It's going to be all, a lot of it's going to be close range. A lot of it's going to be, so many choke points here. It's going to be the scale, again, it's going to be very, very difficult to say exactly who's going to come out top in between these two players. Because even the scale bearer, it's very, very tough. You still got to keep your distance no matter what champion you are.
Yeah, this is more creative in terms of railing. We've seen Spart1e has some amazing comebacks on the Sorlang on this map as well. So got to be more than aware for that. But you can now, as you said, dictate combat better. You can force close range combat, and that's what I think GaRpY should be doing here. It's going to be a brawl. You can't afford to slow down the pace when you're playing heavy versus heavy. You have to play fast. You have to play aggressive. You can't let anyone settle. So we're going to see a very, very fun match. And if GaRpY can force these close range engagements, he's definitely in with a good chance.
Absolutely. Hopefully, if GaRpY can try and close out this series after that second map loss, we'll have to see. Or if Spart1e is the one she closes thing out, as we'll be starting from GaRpY's POV. And straight off the bat, he does have to give up those rockets, but he does pick up the LG anyway. But he needs to be very careful. He does use the bull rush, but it's both trading LG. Spart1e is the one who gets that closing frag.
Yeah, but this is the problem. Most of these engagements, one or the other will come out very weak and leave them in a very vulnerable position. Spart1e's trapped down on the acid here. He needs to do as much damage as he can. He's done more than enough. He will actually get the frag as well, but again, he's very low. Mega's up, so he will be able to restack somewhat. GaRpY's already got over to the heavy, and his stack is mammoth. So this is the battle when you're playing heavy versus heavy. It's how do you get a clean frag? If it's not clean, B, how do you play that keep away game? Because you're so low, you need to A, restack fast, and B, do a significant amount of damage on the retreat, and that's exactly what Spart1e's done there. Yes, he's died, but he's done his job. GaRpY's weak and can now not truly contest for the next major item.
Yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head there as the LGs come out between both players. GaRpY's the one has to leave on the back foot, but will get cleaned up. Spart1e does increase its lead at 3-1, and you're right there with the with the heavy versus heavy champion picks. Like if it was with an item, at least that way you can try and avoid being traded off. Having the turret top mid to try and stop them from going for that mega or light so easily, and just try and stabilize in some way. It depends which champion you select, but yeah, with the scale bearer versus the Sorlag, it can be a little bit different. As Spart1e now does have the item control, but the stacks are still very similar. As he hears out where Spart1e's going to be, it's gone through the telly, but good LG from GaRpY as he cleans him up. That was a very clean frag there. That was exactly what he needed. And good direct there from GaRpY. He could be able to clean him up. He actually goes through the telly. He does go through the telly, which a little bit of a surprise. But then again, GaRpY was ready for it. He was waiting for him to see if it does drop down or not. And it doesn't matter though. The lights have already been eaten up, and Spart1e does find one in the end. But we'll have to see when the next one does come up, which I think is the one above the mega. But he bounces up for the heavy. Bit of a risk there, and GaRpY is the one comes out on top. Still got a huge stack. Not a huge stack, sorry, but at least back to his default stack, and can now try and do some work with it if he can, as he's taking a huge chunk of damage from that LG from Spart1e.
Yeah, I thought you might have ball rushed through there, but respecting Spart1e, he went aggressive, nullified the aggression to the teleporter and won himself a mega. So nice retaliatory play from the Lizard. They are tied up now in terms of stack, more or less. Spart1e with the slight advantage. 10 seconds before this Mega though, so it's a big item. GaRpY needs to hit some damage, otherwise he has to get out of there. Spart1e wants to go through the TP, he knows how much more stack he has. He's just biding his time, he has the timing. Here he comes, the bull rush comes out, he's going to lock him onto the Mega though. That's not what you want to do.
Oh yeah, that was, you know, it's very hard to dictate what he wanted to do there. You know, he had the right idea, but it was just the wrong timing for it. He just wanted to get the bull rush in, really, didn't he? Obviously, the longer the bull rush, the more damage you do by the end of it. But Spart1e, yeah, the stack is not out of control. Thanks to that rail earlier from GaRpY, he's able to, you know, try and even out the playing field. He's still got that top mid control. Still has his active ability. Good rocket there from GaRpY. Spart1e has to back away from that, but then again, both players know almost a similar stat, but Spart1e has picked up the Mega. Going to be looking to pressure on for that heavy, which is coming up in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah, Spart1e with the timing there is going to try and hit at least a rail angle. He's coming in aggressive. Nice double back through the TP. The bull rush comes out, doesn't connect, so he needs to try and get away now. He's in a little bit of trouble. Should be an easy frag for Spart1e, and it is. With the Mega coming up as well. It's pretty difficult for GaRpY to do anything. That rail will help him no end, and actually will win him the Mega as Spart1e dashes himself away. Works his way back around towards the rail room, but GaRpY will be aware of this and is on the hunt. Spart1e's a little bit trapped, but without a rocket, it's going to be a difficult frag to get cleanly, actually. As I say that, bounce to the cross.
Typical, isn't it? Absolutely typical, but I don't think both these players are going to, you know, have full control of this map, and even if they do, it won't be for long. Like, you know, just be mere seconds. But so far, so good for both these players. It is a tie, you know, almost halfway through this map, and like GaRpY does have that top control. Just trying to see exactly what he's up to, what shenanigans he could be playing, but he's dropped down into that LG. He's backed away, hoping that Spart1e doesn't come through. If he does, though, he may take a lot of damage from those rockets going for the telly, but GaRpY is going to go for the heavy uncontested. He's going to be pretty happy about that, and he's going to go for the telly again as well. His back turned straight afterwards, but we're able to clean up with the shotgun. No, he won't, as Spart1e is the one who finishes him with that rail.
Aggressive to spawn, they've both actually been relatively respectful of one another. No super aggressive pushes coming out. More or less trading items. No one's got dominance just yet. Once again, we see a clean pickup from GaRpY. Spart1e not too worried about it. Didn't have timing just to check it has gone. Now he's setting up for the Mega. GaRpY's also on the low ground. He's going to come out, and this will be a big battle here. Spart1e dropping down. No one connected with any damage just yet. And GaRpY gets 2 clean items back to back. So now it's his time to shine. Going aggressive onto Spart1e, who's trying to get himself away. Nice rail coming out. Bull rushes back up as well. He wants to go aggressive. Spart1e does hit that rail though, and the bull rush comes out. What can Spart1e do? He rocket jumps away, really smart move. And he's actually now got himself a heavy as well.
So close, it's a real shame, but Spart1e almost back to his default stack. And you notice that both these players, once they've got that top Mega control, you know, waiting for him to go through the telly, they always delay, you know, going through the telly by 5 to 7 seconds, enough to make their opponent think that, you know, they're not going to go through. They're probably just waiting for him to go across to go for the Mega and then possibly rail them or, you know, fire a few predicted rockets. And it seemed to work quite well. And then again, Spart1e is trying to look to see if he can try and clean out. He's picked up the heavy in the process. Surely not. GaRpY's so weak. He needs to back off. He can't let this map spiral out of control by any means. So it looks like that he does manage to get away, but how long for? He needs to try and pick up these lights before Spart1e starts eating them all.
What was that item radius? How did he pick it up? His tail must have licked it. Looked like he was levitating above it. GaRpY going in aggressively, but he's actually just running to his death as he doesn't hit anything. He doesn't knock him away, actually helping Spart1e if anything, and now Spart1e gets a free item as well. Plenty of time before the Mega. GaRpY realizing this, he needs to go aggressive. He needs to keep that stack in check, but Spart1e is actually going aggressive himself with a shotgun from behind. Still so much time before the Mega that GaRpY cannot afford to stick around and tries to trick his opponent, but this time it doesn't work out, and now the scoreline is beginning to separate. 3 frags is the biggest difference we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, that heavy pickup was a little bit strange. Kind of like the Kirby of the Quake world, just, you know, sucking up all the items. Doesn't even need to be landing on it. He's perfectly fine. He's alright. Good tri-bolt there from Spart1e. Still got a huge stack. GaRpY's running out of, you know, needs a plan of action here to decide what he wants to do. You said it yourself earlier, Dan, you know, with 2 heavy champions with so many choke points, You know, it's not hard to trade each other out. And he's still got 2 minutes left. He has time, but after that rail and the stack Spart1e has 2 minutes left, it's not looking too good here.
No, this is now really hard for GaRpY. Another clean frag for Spart1e. He should also get himself a relatively unchallenged heavy. As I said, that GaRpY comes stampeding from above and actually does a lot of damage, but still he's taken a lot of damage himself, and he's got no weapons to work with either. Try bot on a shotgun, but there we go. It is now looking slim at best. GaRpY needs to make something happen quick. Spart1e has good lockdown on the map, and that will be GG, my friends, as Spart1e gets himself 6 frag difference and full control.
Yes, such a shame. A little bit tilting to say the least, considering it's been going back and forth throughout the entire course of this last map. And now he's only got 1 minute and 15 left. Pretty much almost impossible here.
Yeah.
But GaRpY's going to try, see if he can make something happen with the last minute. At least try and keep the score respectable.
Yeah, I mean, it was so back and forth throughout. It was actually more respectful than I imagined it was being. They were really allowing one another to trade items without pushing. It was a bit easy to get onto the high ground. Both players letting that space go for free. I would have imagined they would have been more protective over that position, but the turning point was that heavy. GaRpY set up the trap. Spart1e tried to jump onto it. Looked like he'd been forced off the item, but somehow stole it away and got away with his life. So that was just such a huge moment, because off the back of that, he picked up the Mega, got a frag and a conversion, and that lead there meant GaRpY needed to force the issue. Heavy versus heavy is generally so close because you can trade back and forth. As soon as you begin to separate the lead, that's when it becomes a really big challenge.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge indeed, but well played to Spart1e. He will take this series 2-1. And GaRpY did put up, he put up a very good fight just the last few moments of, some of the items which he tried to contest throughout the entire course of this map, just those last few minutes. And even then, the damage was still very similar. I think maybe Spart1e only had like a few hundred more, and that was literally about it. Yeah, exactly. So literally 223 more, and really not bad at all. And the rails, a little bit similar. Spart1e did hit actually 10% more in comparison, and he fired a lot more shots. But did you see how many lights that Spart1e actually ate? He ate 30 in the end. 30 lights throughout the whole 10 minutes of that game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Spart1e's playing of the whole map was definitely a lot better. The amount of times you saw him circling over in the rail room, the acid area, where GaRpY was just maintaining position on the mid, was a key factor, because he was coming back into these fights a lot stronger, and it was just the way in which Sorlag moves the map is generally more efficient. So Spart1e played that really well, and again, he picked the Sorlag, so it's a champion he favors on this particular map, and we see why. It was very close throughout, as you said. The turning point was definitely the pick up on that heavy, and that's when you see the scoreline here begin to spiral out of control, and then Spart1e began to hit some more clutch shots. So really well played by both all series. I think GaRpY should be very happy with the way he's played. Again, another victory on deep for him. We saw him take that in a previous series earlier on, and he played very, very well indeed. I think it was against base. I can't really remember now who it was against, but so definitely a stronghold for him. And I think he'll be happy overall. Like, he's already resigned down to being a relegation, and now he's taken a map off for Spart1e, who was playing very well, and in all honesty could have taken map 3, but I think Spart1e was definitely the better player in maps 2 and 3.
Yeah, if the scorelines were, a lot bigger in comparison, and like, the series scores would have been a lot worse, especially in terms of disadvantages, I think he'll be, I wouldn't say very worried, just a little bit worried in terms of how he's going to try and keep his spot in the Pro League. But yeah, he will be relegated most probably. There's a good chance that he will be playing against one of the players who actually qualified from the Challenger Finals. But even then, though, the map choices, but you said it yourself, it's the fact that he's actually taken some maps off Deep Embrace, or some, really high-level opponents. But not only that, he's very good on Corrupted Keep. We've seen his distance control, in the past from what he does on there. Well, not only Deep Embrace, I think it was Exile as well. Sometimes he's actually quite good on Exile. It seems to be, any maps with any kind of verticality or any, small maps, he seems to excel on quite well. But some of the larger maps, it's, I think question his plays a little bit here and there. But that's the third series all done and dusted. We've still got 4 more to go, so do not go anywhere, and we'll be back very soon.